What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight, it is Wednesday evening, October 19th. We're going over the Week 7 fantasy football preview here. We're going to go through each game. I did put a link in the description if you guys want to follow along there. Basically, we're just going to go through my start-sit charts and get you guys prepped for the Week 7 of games. We do have a handful of teams on bye. Let me click into Week 7 here. And the teams on bye, pretty significant. You have Buffalo, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Eagles. These are probably, for sure, three of the top offenses in the league, and you're going to be missing out on a handful of fantasy guys. So we'll get right into this. I did have the spread chart up here for you guys if you want to look and see who's projected to score the most points, as well as who's projected to score the least amount of points this week. This is a very helpful tool. I like looking at it for defenses, for who to stream. So like the Carolina Panthers, expected to score the least amount of points. The Bears, the Commanders, the Steelers, these are all bottom teams this week. So start the Bucs, start the Patriots, start the Packers, the Dolphins, maybe even the Raiders. So that kind of helps me make decisions there. But let's go ahead and get into the first game on the docket. Thursday Night Football. This game's happening tomorrow night. The New Orleans Saints at the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals picked to win by 1.5, 45.5 total implied in this one. We're waiting to see the health of some of these guys here on the Saints. The Saints did rule out Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry. So I'm going to update these guys to have the correct O tag. But it looks like Chris Olave's in, and we're still unsure on who's starting between Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. Both guys were able to practice all week. I'm thinking it's going to be Andy Dalton. Either way, if you're waiting for these guys, it's basically only a super flex option if you're starting Dalton or Winston. I think if you have Alvin Kamara, you're going to play him either way. You want Dalton, I think, to start if it's Alvin Kamara. He's looked the best with Dalton under center. Chris Olave, again, a wide receiver 3 flex. There's just no competition for targets. Taysom Hill can be a tight end streaming option if you need it. And then because Landry and Michael Thomas are out, Marquez Callaway's been the benefit in terms of snaps and routes and everything. I'm open to starting the Saints defense, but they are without Marshawn Lattimore. So maybe not the best game to get the defenses in. I will say, though, Thursday night games have been low scoring, so I'm open to it. On the Cardinals side, you're using Kyler Murray. You're using Eno Benjamin if no James Conner. We have to watch for that. He's been listed as limited all week. If Conner plays, I'm open to it. I'm not excited about it. He's a low-end RB2. So if Conner is out, though, that's going to make Eno Benjamin a nice low-end RB2 as well. You're starting Zach Ertz. And then I think if you got DeAndre Hopkins, man, this is what we waited for. This is why you drafted him. Get him in the lineup. It helps having Marquise Brown out for the next 4 to 6 games. So fire up Hopkins. And then fire up Rondale Moore. He's been looking really good in his last couple of weeks. He's a wide receiver 3 flex in PPR leagues. Maybe start the Cardinals defense. I don't know if I trust it. They haven't been a good defense all year. I probably would avoid both of these, and then we'll leave all these guys here on the bench. It sounds like Robbie Anderson's going to play. He's worth a pickup if you want to have someone at the end of your bench. I think it's showing up the Cardinals for me. That's who I'm going to pick to win in this one. But we'll move on here to the early games on Sunday, starting with the Falcons and the Cincinnati Bengals. Both teams coming off of a nice win. On the Falcons side, I think Marcus Mariota, I mean, in a league where I have Josh Allen, I picked up Marcus Mariota to be my streaming quarterback. So if you're looking to stream someone, I think Mariota has top 12, top 15 potential, has that extra juice with his legs. So he's a solid QB2 this week. I think Drake London, he's got a high floor. He's a low-end wide receiver 3 flex play. I think you got to continue to use Kyle Pitts while he's healthy. Finally got a touchdown last week. Maybe he gets things opened up a little bit in this one. I put Olamide Zaccheaus here as a wide receiver 3 flex. He's just been pretty dependable, in between 6 to 9 fantasy points per game. Say no to the Falcons defense. I'm not starting Algier or Caleb Huntley or even Avery Williams. On the Bengals side, start them all. Burrow, Mixon, Chase, Higgins. I'm glad to see Higgins come through without an injury designation in this game. I think he's going to be just fine. With a healthy Higgins, though, that kind of does bump Hayden Hurst down a little bit. I think he's kind of a fringe tight end one. You can use him if you need him. If your tight end's on bye, if you have Higbee on bye and you need Hayden Hurst, I think that's fine. And then Tyler Boyd, he's just kind of a high floor wide receiver 3 guy. I'm open to starting that Bengals defense. We'll leave Samaje Perine on the bench here. But it's showing up Bengals. I have to get their spread and their points in here and whatnot. But I think the Bengals in a good spot to win this week. And let's look at the Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's back for the Cowboys, man. He got activated this morning. For the Lions, they're getting back DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it sounds like no DJ Chark yet, so he's not going to play in this one. But on the Lions side, again, this is a tough matchup. Cowboys defense, one of the best in the league. Jared Goff, just a quarterback two. I suppose you could stream him if you have one of your QBs on bye. I'm starting DeAndre Swift as a nice RB2 in PPR formats, and if you have him in standard or half, I think that's fine as well. Go ahead and start Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's on track to play. Start TJ Hawkinson. I know he's been pretty boomer bust, but at tight end, that's just kind of the way it goes. And then I do think with it being Swift's first game back, you could still use Jamal Williams as the low-end RB2 flex play if you need someone for the buys. Say no to that defense. I don't know why I have Jamal listed here twice. But Josh Reynolds, I'm probably going to move Josh Reynolds up to the flex territory because, like I said, DJ Chark not playing in this one. On the Cowboys side, Dak Prescott, man, he's back into our QB1 graces here. I think Zeke and Tony Pollard have fantastic matchups, so try and get them in your lineups if you can. You're starting CeeDee Lamb, and then I think Michael Gallup, man, he's had a couple weeks underneath his legs where he looks back to be, in conditioned and in playing form. I know he didn't come through last week, but really none of the Cowboys did. So I'm interested in Gallup as a wide receiver 3 flex. Start the Cowboys defense, and then I don't know about what's going on with Dalton Schultz. I don't know if he's going to play in this one. We'll have to wait and see. It might be Jake Ferguson. So if you need a tight end and it's no Schultz, Ferguson could be of interest to you. But it's showing up all Cowboys for me. I'm going to roll with the Dallas Cowboys in this one. An interesting game here in the AFC South. We have the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. These two teams played each other earlier this year. I believe the Titans won thoroughly. I believe Matt Ryan struggled in this one. But on the Colts side, it's all, we're waiting the health of Jonathan Taylor. He's missed the last 2 games. I think he's on track to play this week. So if he plays, obviously you're going to play him. Matt Ryan, just a quarterback 2 for super flex leagues. You can stream him if you need a QB1 this week. You're starting Michael Pittman. And then I think Alec Pierce, man, I think he's establishing himself as a nice wide receiver 3 flex play. So if you need someone for a bye week replacement, I don't hate Alec Pierce. I'm open to starting the Colts defense. And then on the bench here, I don't know if Naheem Hines is going to play. I think he's going to. Deion Jackson got banged up in that game the other day. So there's a little bit of questions here at the running back spot, but we'll leave all these guys here on the bench. I like the tight end stuff that's going on here, but there's 3 of them. It's hard to pick which one to use. So we'll just leave those guys on the bench. For the Titans, it's pretty simple. Ryan Tannehill is a QB2 for Superflex. I suppose you could stream him if you need someone. Derrick Henry you're using, and then Robert Woods, just a high floor PPR wide receiver 3. There's really nobody else to throw the ball to. Maybe start that Titans defense. It depends, again, if Jonathan Taylor's in or out, but they really bottled Taylor up not too long ago. And then I listed Hilliard and Phillips here on the bench, just some names to watch. This one's a tough game. I think both teams, especially the Titans coming off a bye, they're in a good spot here. So I'm going to lean with the Titans. But Matt Ryan and the Colts, man, they're starting to get things figured out. Let's move on to the Packers and the Washington Commanders here. I believe the Packers are favored to win by maybe 5 or 6 points. On the Packers side, they're in relatively good health besides some of the bench receivers. But Aaron Rodgers, just a QB2 for Superflex. I suppose if you needed him as a QB1 this week, it's fine. You're starting Aaron Jones. I think A.J. Dillon, continue to use him as a low-end RB2 if you need someone. He's going to be, in between that, that 15-touch area. So just a volume play. Maybe he finds the end zone. He hasn't scored since week 1. Then you have Allen Lazard, which I think is establishing himself as a must-start wide receiver 3. Robert Tonyan was the bright spot last week in this offense, so continue to use him as a tight end 1. And then I think it could be Romeo Doubs week. Packers are just hurt at receiver. Christian Watson's not going to play. No Randall Cobb. Sammy Watkins sounds like he might play this weekend, but even then, Romeo Doubs is going to be on there on the field a lot as the second wide receiver. And then, of course, I'm open to starting this Packers defense. I know they've been frustrating for most people here, but it's the Commanders. It should be a good start for the defense. On the Commander side, Taylor Heinicke is going to get the start. He should be added in Superflex leagues. He's going to get maybe a handful of starts here while Carson Wentz is out. And if Heinicke struggles, we might be looking at Sam Howell in maybe 2 or 3 weeks. But for now, it's Heinicke. Terry McLaurin played fine with Heinicke last year. Continue to use him as a wide receiver 3. I think the running back situation is Brian Robinson's going to be the primary ball carrier. He's pretty much touchdown dependent. So if you play in standard leagues, I like him the most there. But otherwise, against this Packers defense, I don't know if I trust him. J.D. McKissick, just a PPR option if you need someone. And then Curtis Samuel, I know he really disappointed things last week. I would like to think that Heinicke looks for him often in the short passing game. So he's a PPR wide receiver 3 flex. Say no to the defense, and then we'll leave all these guys on the bench. If you have Antonio Gibson, we can't trust it until we see something worth starting. So for now, I'm going to lean with the Packers. I expect their offense to kind of get things figured out in this game as they prep for the Buffalo Bills week 8. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. On Tampa Bay side, you're starting Tom Brady as a top 10 QB, Leonard Fournette, strong running back one, and then Evans and Godwin are both the guys that you want in your lineup. After that, we don't really trust anything. Start that Bucks D. I think Rachaad White could be an interesting bye week replacement if you need to whip someone out there for 6 to 10 points. We expect the Buccaneers to kind of do as they please in this one. So maybe there's some garbage time opportunity there for Rachaad White, but Julio Jones, can't trust it. I don't think Cameron Brate plays. So Cade Otton is a guy that I've been looking at for dynasty leagues. And then Russell Gage, not really excited about that play. On the Panthers side, it's going to be PJ Walker again. So it's literally only Christian McCaffrey that's usable, guys. Say no to the defense. I don't even want to start DJ Moore. Sam Darnold might be able to save this. He was activated today. Maybe Sam Darnold starts week 8, but try to avoid the Panthers if you can. Roll with your Buccaneers. Let's look at the Giants and the Jags, the 5-1 New York Giants. On the Giants side, I think Daniel Jones is a hot streaming play this week. I know I looked at Mariota and Daniel Jones for my bye week replacements, and I think Jones is a nice QB2, but he can be your QB1 this week if you need him in a 12-team league. Saquon Barkley, you're starting him. I put Daniel Bellinger here as a tight end one. He's been a guy that's been kind of heating up and being more involved in the offense. I know he's a rookie tight end, but he's been playing well. And then probably the ad of the week was Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he's the clear-cut receiver that I trust on this Giants team right now. You can start that Giants defense as well. And then we're just going to leave all these junk receivers here on the bench. We'll see if we can get Kadarius Toney in one of these days. But on the Jag side, Trevor Lawrence, it was nice to see the rushing touchdowns last weekend. He's a streaming option for sure this week. And probably best as a QB2. ETN, Travis Etienne's taken over this running backfield. He's getting more snaps and opportunities than James Robinson. I would rather start ETN over J-Rob. Continue to use Christian Kirk. I know the numbers have been low the last 2 games, but he's still the main target here. Evan Ingram, though, is a guy who's been picking it up the last couple games. So he's the guy that can be used as a tight end one. And then I have Zay Jones and James Robinson down here as kind of low flex plays. Maybe start the Jags defense, but I don't know if I trust it. We'll see if Marvin Jones and Jamal Agnew can go. I know they got dinged up. But anyways, I like the fight in the Jags. I think they can pull this one off, but I'm going to lean with the Giants to get to 6-1, even though it feels wrong. It feels wrong. Both these teams. Interesting game here, but we'll move on. Let's look at the Browns and the Ravens. On the Ravens side, it's pretty simple. Of course, you're starting Lamar, you're starting Mark Andrews. But after that, I mean, J.K. Dobbins kind of hurt his knee last week. It says it tightened up. So I'm not liking that. If he can't go, that's going to make Kenyon Drake a RB2 flex play. And if you have Devin Duvernay, I don't think Rashad Bateman's going to play. So Duvernay is an interesting wide receiver 3 in PPR formats. Start that Ravens defense, and then we're going to leave all these guys here on the bench. On the Brown side, it's pretty straightforward. Jacoby Brissett is a fine quarterback 2 for Superflex. We're not streaming him, though. Continue to start Nick Chubb. You're going to leave him in there. I don't want to see any start-sit questions on Chubb. Same with Kareem Hunt. I know he disappointed last week, but the entire Browns offense did. So I'll roll with the punches with Kareem Hunt in my lineup. Amari Cooper, though, keeps showing up for us. I know the problem with Cooper is his home and away splits are staggering. Like, he has a good game at home every game. He's caught in, I think, 4 touchdowns at home. This one's on the road. Maybe it's a stinker for Cooper, but we'll see. I want to lean towards getting him in there, though. And then David Njoku, man, he's a top 5, top 6 tight end right now. So continue to use him. I think he's been really, really good lately. And then Donovan Peoples-Jones, he's actually had a nice couple, maybe 2 or 3 games as well. He's a guy that could probably be picked up in 12-team leagues. And maybe used as a PPR flex during the bye weeks. Say no to the Browns defense. I don't think we're going to want to use the Browns defense the rest of the year, so don't hold on to them if you have them. I'm going to take the Ravens in this one. We'll move on to the late games here on Sunday. Starting with the New York Jets and the Denver Broncos, the new look Jets. It's crazy because like they're winning games, but there's just nothing there for fantasy outside of Breece Hall. So he is the must start here. I could probably even rank him as a QB1 if I wanted to, or a running back 1 if I wanted to, but I think he looks best as a running back 2. Zach Wilson, just a kind of a low-end QB2 for super flex leagues. I'm open to starting this Jets defense, though, against the Broncos. The Broncos have scored the fewest points in the league, so I don't mind that. But Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, Tyler Conklin, I just can't trust any of these guys in my lineup. So I would, if I get any Jets questions, I'm going to err on the side of leaving them on the bench and go with the other option. For the Broncos, continue to use Russell Wilson. I think he can be a low-end QB1, but he does look best as a 2 in Superflex leagues. Continue to use Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. And I'm open to starting that Broncos defense. That's been the one bright spot of this team this year. But then the running back field, man, Melvin Gordon, Mike Boone, Latavius Murray. I'm going to leave all these guys on the bench. I want to see what this looks like before I start to trust it. They gave Latavius Murray the rock on Monday Night Football. And Melvin Gordon got benched. And then today, Nathaniel Hackett says Melvin Gordon is starting against the Jets. So it's whack-a-mole at this point. I don't trust it. I want to see more data points. And then we'll leave Hamler on the bench. Greg Dulcich, though. Interesting guy. I think if you need a tight end, I wouldn't mind adding him to the squad and seeing what he does. It was his first game as a rookie, and he impressed us. So maybe he gets more on his plate going forward. I'm going to take the Broncos in this one. I think they're due for a win. It's a home game. We'll see if they can get this together, though. Let's look at the Texans and the Raiders. Texans, of course, coming off of a bye week. The must starts here. You're starting Dameon Pierce. He's a running back one, I think, going forward. And then Brandon Cooks, I want to lean into that because the Raiders are not good against the QB and the receiver. And then Davis Mills, he could actually be used as a QB1 streamer. The Raiders are giving up the most fantasy points per game right now. So he's definitely in play. He does look best as a number 2 in Superflex, though. Say no to this defense, and Nico Collins is someone to keep an eye on. He could have a nice game. And then Rex Burkhead, we're not trusting. I think after the bye week, you're going to see more emphasis on Dameon Pierce in the passing game. On the Raiders side, we're awaiting the health of Darren Waller. I don't think he's going to play this week. They are also getting Foster Moreau back. So if Waller can't go, it might be Foster Moreau at tight end, which he's interesting if you need a tight end. But start Derek Carr, start Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, yes. And then with the Waller injury, and because the Texans are so good on the boundary with their stud cornerbacks, Hunter Renfrow could be a busy guy. So I like him as a wide receiver 3 flex play. I'm open to starting that Raiders defense. Say no to Matt Collins, Bolden, Zamir White. It's showing up the Raiders here. Both teams coming off a bye, so I think this is going to actually be a pretty fun game. Let's look at the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Chargers. On the Seahawks side, Geno Smith, I have him listed as a QB2, but he can definitely be a QB1 streamer this week. I just think for super flex purposes, he looks good as a 2. You're starting Kenneth Walker, you're starting DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. And then I think Noah Fant has kind of emerged here as a decent tight end streaming option if you need help there. Say no to the Seahawks defense. Like I mentioned, I'll show you again. It's one of the best tools that I think I come up with for you guys. If you just click on week 7 and look at the chart here, the Chargers are picked to score the most points this week. So that's very interesting. I also have this, like if you go over the content page, I'm going to upload this here every week. So the week 7 spreads is essentially what we're looking at here. So this helps me make decisions sometimes. But DJ Dallas, D. Eskridge, Will Disley, no thank you. The Chargers only able to score 1 touchdown last week and a bunch of field goals. I think they're going to probably pour into the touchdowns this week. So Herbert, Eckler, Mike Williams, all in our lineups. I have Keenan Allen as questionable, but just what he's been saying, they have a bye week in week 8. So he might sit out 1 more week so he can get the bye week and then come back after the bye. So I'm probably going to move him down to doubtful. Continue to use Gerald Everett if you need a tight end. And then Josh Palmer, I have to list him as questionable. He entered the concussion protocol today, so he might not be playing this week here. Say no to the Chargers defense, and then we'll leave these guys on the bench. If no Palmer and Everett, or if no Palmer and Keenan Allen, I think DeAndre Carter might be a guy worth a look there if you need someone in a deeper league. I'm going to take the Chargers in this one. We'll move on to the Chiefs and the 49ers. The Chiefs is pretty simple. You're starting Mahomes, you're starting Kelsey. After that, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, kind of been touchdown dependent. He can be a low-end RB2 play if you need it. It's a good front by the 49ers, so I don't expect a lot of points here. He's going to have to make your day with a touchdown. And then the receivers starting to come together here. I think Juju's a wide receiver 3 flex. Hardman's interesting. He's been making some big plays, so if you need someone in a pinch, Hardman or MBS are decent, deep options. Maybe start that Chiefs defense. I know it's in San Fran, but we'll see about that. And then continue to leave these guys on the bench. We don't trust them yet, but I think Sky Moore could be a guy that gets more work going forward. On the San Fran side, Jimmy Garoppolo, a popular streaming option for you this week. I think he could be a fringe QB1. Jeff Wilson, I know he fumbled last week. He's not an automatic RB2 start anymore, especially with Tyrion Davis-Price healthy, and they like Tevin Coleman as well. So he's kind of a fringe RB2. You're starting Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle. I shouldn't get any questions on these 3 guys, especially after Ayuk's big game last week. I think the best advice I can give you if you have Ayuk is you got to take the ups and the downs. I know he's going to have some big games, but he's also going to have, some 3 for 40 games. You just got to take those. He's a talented guy. You don't want to miss out on the big play. Maybe the 49ers defense, they've been playing so well, not last week. So I'm going to probably lean towards sitting them, but that's pretty much it. I'm going to take the Chiefs in this one, but I expect this one to be a pretty competitive game, especially as the 49ers are coming off an embarrassing loss at Atlanta. Sunday Night Football. Steelers at the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is back, so use him if you got him. Raheem Mostert can be a running back too. You're starting Tyreek, you're starting Jalen Waddle, and then Mike Gesicki. I know he's been really, really boom bust, but again, if you need it's a big bye week. If you need a tight end, Gesicki can be your guy. Start that Dolphins defense, and then we'll leave Edmonds and Sherfield on the bench. Steelers side of things, I think Kenny Pickett's going to play. He did get some practice week in Wednesday today, so he's probably going to be moved up to the QB2 spot. Najee Harris, not looking good, man. Not looking good. I think if you have Najee Harris, you should probably try and trade him and get something useful because it's just not looking good for him. He's a low-end RB2. I think Pat Frymouth's going to play. He's a tight end one streamer if you got it. And then the receivers, I'm going to rank them as follows: Deontay, Pickens, Claypool. I think if I had to start one guy, it's Deontay. He's just got the safe floor. And then we'll just leave these guys on the bench. Say no to the Steelers defense. It's going to be ugly. I hope just for the sake of this game being in primetime, we get to see Kenny Pickett. I think that would be much more enjoyable to watch. But I'm going to take the Dolphins. It's a pretty safe one for the Dolphins and getting Tua back. And then let's finish up here with Monday Night Football. They keep giving us the Bears on primetime, but the Bears at the Patriots. For the Bears, Justin Fields, maybe a QB1 streamer. He's a QB2 for Superflex options. Montgomery could be an interesting RB2. And then Darnell Mooney starting to heat up, getting more involved in this one. I think he's a wide receiver 3 flex. He should be picked up in leagues if he was dropped. Say no to that Bears defense. Cole Kmet, Khalil Herbert, guys we just want to leave on the bench. But I did read something where the Bears said they're going to ride the hot hand. So if Khalil Herbert's available in your league, I think he's worth a pickup. So keep an eye out for him. And then we have on the Patriots side, I'm thinking Mac Jones plays in this one. If he plays, he's a QB1 option for you if you need someone, but he's probably best left as a Superflex QB. The guy you want is Ramondre. We're waiting to see if Harris can play, but even if Harris plays, you want Ramondre in your lineups. You want Jacoby, and I think Hunter Henry starting to establish himself here. If Harris plays, he's a low-end play. I'm not super excited about it. I think it's all Ramondre in this one. Start that Patriots defense, and then these guys we're going to leave on the bench. If Zappy plays, I'm going to move him up to the QB2 range. And then Tyquan Thornton, man, he's getting involved. He's kind of fun. He's super fast. I think he's going to be hard to trust each week, but if they keep getting him involved, we'll be talking about him on the waiver wire soon. So I'm going to go with the Patriots at home in this one. And that concludes our Week 7 fantasy preview. I guess I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are new. We're going to be going live. If you're probably watching this, we're going to be going live. I go live Wednesday nights as well at 7 p.m. Central Time. But for sure, Thursday Night Football, I go live about 6:30 Central Time. So if you guys want to hang out, get your questions asked, please hang out with us then. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new. Check out the Fantasy Fellowship. And yeah, thank you guys for your time. We'll see you in a future video. Peace.